It's a public health crisis of massive proportions. Lead in the water supply in Flint, Michigan.
Pollution is one of the most dangerous environmental issues affecting the world today.
Water is a human right. Fight, fight, fight.
And the runoff is usually pumped into ponds just like this. Either lined or unlined, the dangers of pollution are very high.
The issue of water pollution is well known throughout the world. However, in the U.S. alone, 40% of lakes are too polluted for swimming, aquatic life, and fishing. Unfortunately, a very small portion of the world's population is actually fighting for clean water. And most people are unaware of exactly how they personally contribute to the world's water pollution. Oil and vehicle emissions are carried into our waterways by rain. Pesticides, fertilizers, biological contaminants, manure, and waste from farms largely contaminate our water. In addition, the majority of our water is polluted by trash. A statistic from the American Rivers Organization shows that in the United States, over 22 billion plastic water bottles, more than 100 billion plastic bags, and about 100 billion aluminum cans are thrown away each year. Water pollution is increasingly becoming a larger issue. Every year, 2 billion pollutants are added into our waterways. We must help reduce the amount of pollutants in our water to help save life on Earth.
To further research the issue of water pollution, we went to the Santa Clara Valley Water District on a class field trip, and we were able to ask an expert some questions about the issue. This is what Kristen Yasukawa, a public information specialist at Valley Water, had to say.
Most common pollutants in the drinking water. I'm a microbiologist. I work in the micro side, so I can speak mostly to that on that side. I would say from a microbiological standpoint, the most common contaminant that we find is a total coliform, which is a bacteria. That being said, that bacteria in and of itself, I use the word contaminant loosely because that bacteria in the water really isn't harmful. It's just an indicator that there could be other things in the water that are harmful, such as viruses or E. coli as a subset of those organisms that could hurt you. I can speak to the water that's coming into the plant. So that might be like surface water. So man-made products would be like the pesticides and herbicides that you might be using in the fields that are around there. So anything with like nitrogen or phosphorus that would be running off into the reservoirs. And then we also test for recycled water. The thing of concern for the water that's coming from the wastewater treatment plants are what we call personal care and pharmaceutical products. And so there was a study that was done on those, and I think the most common things that they find, like let's say in a reservoir, for example, is caffeine, ibuprofen, and estrogen. But there's other things also that you would find, but those are the three most common.
Water pollution is an issue worldwide. It's a problem so big that people don't always realize how close to home it actually is. Our waters here in Damjanac Valley are contaminated with mercury, runoff containing gasoline, oil, and brake dust from vehicles, soil from construction sites, pesticides and fertilizers, and toxins from emissions. These all flow into the San Francisco Bay Delta. Furthermore, the tech industry contributes harmful metals and plastics to our waters. Pesticides from Bay Area farming are found in runoff that harm its rivers. Human activities such as boating introduce fuel and other trash into lakes that is difficult to remove.
We should care about this issue because the problem is prevalent even 5 minutes away from us, with Almaden Lake being a location where natural mercury from the ground is deposited directly into the water.
Most of us have fond memories of Almaden Lake Park, running around the playground as kids and watching fireworks every 4th of July. The park is a big part of Almaden Valley's community, and it's devastating that we can't actually use the lake for recreational purposes and what it's there for.
Almaden Lake Park is part of the Guadalupe watershed, and because of the mercury and the bad quality of the water, fish throughout the whole watershed are affected. Fish in these local waters become prey to unnative species and lose their way in their natural habitat. The poor quality of the water also affects the Los Alamitos Creek that runs through the yards of many Almaden Valley residents. This problem is in our own backyards, and we must contribute to help solving it. To take action right away, research and find volunteer groups that focus on cleaning bodies of water. Nina spent a few hours doing her part in tackling water pollution by cleaning trash out of a local river. After arriving at Guadalupe Creek, we each got a trash bag and started to pick up trash along the trail that runs next to the river. At first, it didn't seem like there was a lot of trash, but then eventually we learned that every weekend volunteers come to pick up trash from the same location, which is why it seemed pretty clean. But then we started to walk closer to the river, and as we passed the bushes that separate the road from where the river starts, we started to find all sorts of different trash. Electrical wires, pants, plastic bags, plastic mats, water bottles, plastic, like all sorts of plastic, and even like frying pans are just some of the things that we found floating in the river and on the bank next to the river. After 3 hours of cleaning the river, when we lined up all the bags next to the fence, it was way more trash than any of us had expected there would be.
While she was there, she spoke with Shay Franco-Clausen, the leader of the cleanup, about what others can do to help.
My name is Shay Franco-Clausen, and I'm here at my site, Adopt a Creek, with my partners, IBW Local 332, and I'm actually the local representative for Open Space Authority, and this is my mile of the Guadalupe River. I think the average person doesn't realize, like, look, turn over to the garbage. Like, all that is going inside of our waters, and it has a serious impact on the natural wildlife. You know, there's salmon that are starting to spawn here, crawdads, there's little fish, but also the ducks that are in the creek and the river. So a lot of people don't realize that anything that you put on the side of the roads lands down in the creek. If people live down here and dump things, it's inside of the creek. And all that garbage sometimes is what they think is food, and then it harms the ducks and the frogs and any type of natural animals or mammals there. So if we weren't here, this times 4 years would have still been in the creek, especially in the waterways, because what stays here, if we don't clean it up, it lands in our bay, and that's worse. So I think our creek and Coyote Creek are two of the most polluted creeks, and there's other people like me and other groups that do their part, but there's not enough people that come out every month to do it. There's other ways they can come out and do some conservation with us in open space, protecting Coyote Valley. You know, that's one of our natural aquifers, or when it's raining now, where we collect it so we can have fresh water. They can also do education, like the native plants. There's so many things around climate change that is associated to right here. So if we keep them natural and we restore them, that's other ways. Like maybe somebody wants to help do the restoration and doesn't want to do the cleaning up. We're gonna start a project. We're gonna ask for grant money to do our entire mile.
During the cleanup, the effects of pollution can be seen firsthand by trying to reverse them. Despite the hundreds of volunteers that spent hours working together, it is quickly learned that we can't fully reverse the damages our water has taken. However, we can prevent more damage from being done. Ensure that you're not adding potential pollutants into the water supply. This includes not flushing chemicals and foreign materials down drains. Stay away from using pesticides or any unnatural chemicals in home gardens to prevent contaminated runoff. Anything left on a sidewalk or on the side of the road will eventually end up in a body of water. So picking up trash and finding a proper place for it can have a bigger impact than you think. Quick and easy actions can go a long way in saving our water supply. After all, there's only one Earth, and we've got one lifetime to fix it.
I'm gonna make a bloopers at the end. I can't not do this.
Erin, get us. Hey, get it.
Is this all one take? Oh my.
I'm just gonna cut it.
I'm sorry you have to go through this.
No, it's okay. I think I'm just gonna be laughing.
Oh my god. Okay. Ugh, disgusting.
Things like E. coli, chloroform, keep moving through.
Okay. Hi, Lily.
Hey, stop recording. Hey, you don't have my permission. Excuse me, ma'am. You don't have my permission. You don't have my permission.
Oil and vehicle emissions are carried into our waterways by rain.